Welcome everybody, this is Microsoft 365 and Power Platform weekly community call happening every single Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific time, or whatever time zone and a time that means for you. For example, Central Europe, that is in every single Tuesday at 5 p.m. In afternoon. Now, in this call, we always have Microsoft speakers. So this is basically people who are either the program managers, engineers, or cloud advocates, showcasing you how or what they have built or how to get start using the capabilities. There are certain exceptions every now and then on that rule. For example, in the future, we will have some of the hackathon winners, for example, from Powerful Devs and also from the SharePoint hackathon showing up on these calls within this spring. So those are kind of the exceptions for that rule. Today, we do have a great agenda, a lot of presenters, a lot of demos to actually show. We'll start with, obviously, the latest news and updates, what we always go through, and then we do a group photo and to get a picture in Teams. So please be prepared for enable your camera, and we will take that screenshot whenever the time is right. And then we go to the actual stars of today, who are Bob German. Actually, not really Bob, but it is a Bob. So Paolo is going to help here, but Bob German has retired a few weeks back, but before he actually retired, he recorded some of today's community call recordings, and we actually play one of those and some of the setups, and Paolo is going to help with that as well. And then he's going to be followed with April and David Warner, who are going to talk about using and contributing the Power Platform Snippets, which is a great initiative for sharing how to be more efficient with Power Platform. And then as a final topic of the day, we have Pooja and Mohan, who's going to show extending dashboards and cards across SharePoint. And what that actually means is that the same dashboard capabilities what we have in the Viva connection or within your welcome, is it the start site, welcome site, main site in SharePoint, can be pretty soon to start using in any SharePoint site. So you can build your own dashboards in any site within SharePoint, which is really cool. There's a new web part coming up on that one, and you're able to reuse the cards across any SharePoint site. Really cool capability as well. Now, before we go to the demo section, let me do a quick recap on all of the assets. I'll try to be pretty fast on this stuff, so we'll save some time for the demos. So first of all, the number one URL to remember from this slide is AKMS Community Home or Community MS. Both of them are redirecting to one location where you can find all of these links. We're not going to spend too much time in here, except calling out that all of the community calls are recorded, and they are being published at Microsoft Community Learning video channel. So that's a great location to subscribe into. So you will know whenever the recordings are available, and you can follow up on them later. Now, we do have a lot of community calls. We have at least 2 community calls happening every single week, starting with this one, which is Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific time, the Microsoft Power Platform weekly call, typically with Microsoft speakers. Now, during summertime, we were originally planning to have a break within the Tuesday call, but there was a great idea actually from one of the MVPs that, hey, we do have a lot of demand for community demos, so why wouldn't we actually do community takeover on this call? So the Tuesday call will not actually go for a break. We will run that through across the July and August, but it will be with community demos. Mainly, there might be some Microsoft demos on that one as well. But and that's on July and August. Before that, we still have May and June coming up with Microsoft presenters. On top of that, we have Power Platform monthly call, Office Admin monthly call, and then our Thursday 7 a.m. Pacific time series, which is either Microsoft 365 Power Platform Community with community presenters or Viva Connection and SharePoint Framework with community presenters. So a lot of calls happening, a lot of options to stay up to date on all the latest within the technology. And you can always download all of the recurrent invites at AKMS Community Calls, and you can also take advantage of our meetup service where we publish our call agendas roughly a week before the call. So that's a great way of staying up to date on what's in the pipeline. Now, for a lot of the community calls, we do welcome community presenters, as you noticed when I went through and explaining that. And this is a great opportunity for you to showcase what you built or what you learned. And again, it doesn't have to be open source. It doesn't have to be in GitHub. It's not about building even a solution. It could be showing how to get started with some technology and how to take advantage more efficiently some technology, or how are you approaching of some of this tooling which are available for you in Microsoft 365 or Power Platform. Every single one of us have a story and a different perspective to take. So if somebody has shown something similar in the past, don't worry about it. You still have your own story and own way of how you're using the tool, which would be beneficial for taking advantage. Filling in the form, AKMS Community Request Demo, will get you then on the queue, where we will invite or have a discussion with you based on what you're submitting, on which call is suitable for you. Now, we do have also a lot of assets to get started on the Microsoft Cloud, so learn.microsoft.com is your best friend, and there's a lot of learning modules. All of these are available for you to take advantage for free, so great opportunity for learning more about Microsoft 365 and Power Platform. We also have a lot of samples available for you to take advantage. One centralized location, AKMS/community/samples is the URL, where we have more than 2,200, or I think it's more than 2,300 samples already from Microsoft and community. So having a one centralized location where you can go and start looking into, I was tasked to do X and Y and Z. Maybe somebody has created something similar as a sample. Let's have a look on that. Or maybe you are, let's say, stuck within a code challenge, which you would love to have an example to copy. And you go to this URL and you fill in the form and the text box, and you will get unblocked within your work. So that's really the objective of this location. So please take advantage of that. A lot of cool stuff getting published over there all the time. Now, as you find the sample, that might be in a GitHub, or you might be wondering, how do I actually contribute back on the community? That's why we have our Sharing is Caring initiative. And quickly, David Warner is going to explain what this is all about.
Yes, thank you, Pessa. What is Sharing is Caring, everybody? Well, it is a live opportunity to learn together. What does that mean? It means that coming up on May 12th, right after the M365 Community Conference, we are all going to have the opportunity to learn how to do something that's called a pull request. What is a pull request? It's your gateway to contributing to the community. Now, these are safe space, which means they are live, but not recorded. So we are going to get that form up. I'll be working on that this morning, and I promise it'll be up by the end of today. And you can absolutely join it. Todd is going to be there. Stephanie's going to be there. And we're going to start getting some more of these scheduled roll out. So please do join. It's hands-on. It counts as a contribution, and it is a wonderful opportunity to collaborate and learn. And we've got other topics coming up soon. Now, also, once you do contribute, and they count as a contribution, that Sharing is Caring session, once you do join and you contribute, you are going to be recognized. So we are actually expanding our Credly account. We're going to be doing even more campaigns and more badges. We know everybody loves them. All those event badges, those special Snippet Sorcerer, the Repo Rescuer, Modern Search, and of course our current campaign, which is around May the 4th, and the Star Wars badges. Super excited. Love seeing everybody share them. Absolutely free for you to get opted in here. Just need you to opt in at ak.ms/community/recognition. And like I said, we're expanding and looking at more ways to recognize you for the amazing work you do. So thank you, everybody. Would not be possible without you. Vesa, back to you in the Finland studios.
Excellent. Thank you, LA, and from California. Technology is amazing always as we do this across the world. Now, quickly recapping all of the upcoming events. So within a few weeks, we'll be at the Microsoft 365 Community Conference at Las Vegas. A lot of great sessions over there. Great way of engaging with Microsoft and meeting other people in the community. Then we have Build coming up in May 19th to 22nd. That's in Seattle and in online. I think it's already sold out for in-person, unless I'm completely mistaken, but the online is available for everybody across the world as well. Followed with ECS, as in European Collaboration Summit 2025 in Düsseldorf to 26th to 28th of May. And this is actually 3 conferences: European Collaboration Summit, European AI and Cloud Summit, and European BizApp Summit happening at the same time, which is really, really cool. Looking forward on that one as well. Then we have the European Power Platform Conference happening in Vienna, 15th to 19th of June. So a lot of conferences coming up. Great locations and opportunities for meeting with other people within the community. And this one is followed then by TechCon 365 at Seattle, June, and then followed Atlanta and Dallas a bit later this year on that side of the pond. And then we have the other Las Vegas conference coming up, which is the Power Platform Community Conference in October 28th to 13th, 2025. And that's followed up with Ignite at San Francisco. More details on this one pretty soon, but that's on the week of November 17th, and more details on that one at ignite and Microsoft.com. And then the last but not the least is the European SharePoint M365 Azure Conference happening in Dublin from 1st to 4th of December 2025. Really, really cool location as well. That venue, we've been there in the past. It's a really, really great opportunity to meet everybody in the community. Now, on top of these larger sessions, there's a lot of other sessions happening all around the world, across France, US, Oslo, Norway, whatever. There's a lot of locations, so you can find all of these different events at communitydays.org. It's a great service to actually stay up to date on what's happening closer to you. Now, this week, quickly recapping the latest news, not a massive amount of news, but quite a few news on promoting obviously Las Vegas conference and promoting a few other locations and options as well to stay up to date. What are the latest announcements in Viva, M365 Power Platform and all of that. So really cool news from last week. Now, we also do our Copilot prompt library. This is a location where we are collecting Copilot prompts which have been useful so that everybody can benefit out of using the Copilot more efficiently. That's AKMS PMP prompt library is the URL to find it. And this week's prompt of the week is coming from Michael Ziemba around creating a multilingual quiz on Microsoft Forms based on the parameters below. So this is basically for a multilingual quiz prompt in the Microsoft Form for automatically generating the form for you based on your business requirements. Really great example how Copilot can be used across the applications. And then before we go to the actual stars of today, it is time for the group photos. Let me also enable the camera here and flop into the screen, hopefully. Let's see that how well we're working today. And I will change the scene. I will move you in a visible screen in a second. Click me to apply. Here we go. I can see Pooja. I can see Natalie, a lot of familiar faces, April in the front row. I can wave you, Todd. Are you there? There you are. So let's wait a few more seconds before we start waving hands. I will set up my Camtasia here. We do have 50 seats in the room. We are actually in a new invite, so this might actually fix some of the challenges we've been having in the past for people being able to join on the call. We're not yet quite recording. Let's wait a few more seconds. If we can get a few more people joining in, crossing fingers. This is starting to look really good. David and Todd are virtually doing high fives on the back row. I guess it's time to start. Let's do some hand waving. Thank you everybody for joining on the call. We'll grab a GIF animation out of this and share it in social media. Thanks everybody for being here. Super cool to have you on the call and as part of the community. Thanks everybody. Awesome. We'll share that in the social media. Excellent. There we go. And then it is time for the actual stars of the day. So we'll start with a Bob German with the help of Paolo, talking about enhancing your declarative agent with adaptive cards. So declarative agents is a one agent type for M365 Copilot. Then we move into using and contributing Power Platform snippets together with April and David. And then last but not the least is Pooja and Mohan is going to talk about extending dashboards and cards across SharePoint. But let's move into Bob's demo. And I know Paolo is ready to go on his side.
Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see the screen. We are good to go. Take it away.
Perfect. Thank you, Vesa. So yeah, today we are going to see how you can extend the declarative agent with an API plugin, adding additional requests to the API plugin and leveraging adaptive cards. As Vesa said, I'm just helping Bob to deliver this session. So the actual demo will be delivered by Bob through a recording. So let me quickly switch to the actual slides and then we will move to the demo. This is a demo which is taken from the Copilot Developer Camp, which is a set of training material and videos to help you learn how to extend Microsoft 365 Copilot. We have multiple options there. You can be a maker or a coder, and depending on what's your role, you can choose the right pathway for you to understand how to extend Copilot. Today, we are talking about the extend path, which is the one about building declarative agents for Microsoft 365 Copilot, and you can learn more about all of the pathways by watching this video that you can see right here. Also, by learning how to extend Microsoft 365 Copilot, you can have a chance to get a badge, yet another set of badges, actually. So you can get badges for each and every pathway you will complete, and you can get a badge if you will complete all of them, and yet another one if you will be a black belt completing all of the pathways and sharing your knowledge with the community. So sharing a sample in the sample community gallery. Time flies, so the initiative will end on May the 20th, and it will target just the very first 200 community members. So be quick, start learning, start extending Microsoft 365 Copilot, and claim your badge as soon as you are ready. But without any further delay, let's move to the actual demo, and let's move to Bob German.
Well, thanks. This week I'm going to show labs E4 and E5 of Copilot Developer Camp. In these labs, you'll add additional features to the Azure Functions and the API plugin. And this is a great way to get to know all of the different files and places where the API is defined without having to build the whole thing from scratch. And then I'll briefly touch on Lab E5, where we add adaptive cards to the solution. So our journey begins copying some Azure function code, and this is already written for you. If you've never seen an Azure function before, this is what defines the API code itself. And this particular Azure function is going to add the /projects path so that the web service is aware not only of consultants and the current user, me, but also is aware of projects. Now up here at the top, there's a bunch of imports, including the project API service, which does all the underlying database code that was already there all along. And also the identity service, which will eventually authenticate the user, but for now we're going to hard code that as being a test user. Now the runtime is going to pass a request object in, which represents the HTTP request. And then the code is going to initialize the response, which will eventually have more details in it. And it's going to call the identity service to validate the request. And then we have a switch statement, which checks if it's a get or a post. And it's going to extract all of the query string parameters and actually go and call the database to get the information requested. And then that gets returned in the response, of course. Now, I don't have time to go through the whole thing, but I'll point out that at the bottom of the module, the code will catch any errors and return an error response if any errors occur. So now we want to test out that new API. So I'm going to add to my HTTP request file the new request that we've just inserted. And you'll see that there's a /projects request, get request, and also a post to add a person to a project. So I'll run this and we should be able to get some project information. I'll just minimize the browser since we just want to test the API at this point. And as you can see, when I click the get request, I get back a list of all the projects. So now comes the tricky part. We have to let Copilot know about these new HTTP methods. So I'm going to go back to the instructions and follow those on how to set this up. I've already tested the resource, so let's go in and I'm going to open the API specification file, and I'm going to update that from a copy that's in the lab instructions. So you can see we've added a /projects path with a get, and all of the parameters that get passed in and returned from the get are all here. So this is kind of the hard part. It turns out the developer proxy is capable of generating these files, and that is a great way to just exercise it through the developer proxy. Gary Trinder has an example on this up on YouTube that shows you how to do it. And it will take care of a lot of the busy work of gathering all these details for you. Now, the next step is I'm going to do the same kind of an update to the plugin.json file. So if you'll recall, the file we just looked at is the Swagger file or OpenAPI definition. That is based on a standard for documenting an API. All the stuff that is Copilot specific doesn't fit in there because, you know, it's a standard. The Swagger file is a standard. So instead, we have this plugin file, and that has all of the Copilot specific details inside of there. So a big feature of the plugin file is this idea of functions. So these are the different functions, if you will, that Copilot could take. And we've added one for get projects. And we've also added one for post assign a consultant to a project. And this just references which requests from the Swagger file Copilot should use to carry out those actions. Notice that there is something in here called response semantics. That's what tells Copilot which fields in the response are relevant, including a title and a subtitle, and even the path to the data itself relative to the HTTP response that's going to come back. And because this is a post, we also have a confirmation, which is an adaptive card that we can use to just check with the user and make sure that they really want to update the data. Scrolling down a little bit, you'll see that we have all the functions listed here in this run for functions array, and we've added the ones for projects. Okay, so we're pretty much ready to run this. Let me do one more small change before we do, which is just to increment the version number in the manifest, which will force Microsoft 365 to reload the agent fresh and reread all that metadata. So I'll go ahead and run this. And Teams Toolkit will do its thing. And in a moment, we should, here we go, find ourselves inside of Copilot. So I want to try this new functionality. So I'm just going to ask, I know the test data has an A-datum project in there, so I'm just going to say, what projects are we doing for A-datum? And you can see when it asks for this confirmation, again, that means we've got a new version of the app because I had previously said to not keep asking. And you can see here that it does indeed know all about the A-datum project. So now I'll move on to the adaptive cards lab. And this begins with creating and testing a simple adaptive card, but I'm not going to do the simple one. I'm going to do the actual one from the project and show you a little variation here. So I just copied the adaptive card text from the lab and put it into the designer, into the adaptive card designer, which is at adaptivecards.io. And I got rid of the property name so that this is a proper card. And you can see that it looks like it's supposed to look, except for all the information is missing. So let's fill that in with some actual information. I'm going to go back to my project, which is running. Go to my HTTP file where I have all the test queries, and I'm going to run the /consultants query, and I'm just going to copy the subset, which is for the first consultant. So the way this works is that Copilot is going to get all the consultants. It's going to render a card for each one. So I only want one of them here. And I'll paste that into place. And now, hey, look, everything's there, and I can see Avery's picture. I can see everything. The picture is just an external URL, so those are all static URLs. But what I'll point out is that the adaptive card itself has these little data binding expressions, such as name and email and phone, which actually connect to the data in the HTTP response. Okay, so now let's put these adaptive cards into our plugin.json file so that we can view them inside of Copilot. So I'll copy the card from the lab instructions and return to the project and open up the plugin file. And we're going to repeat this for every response. You see here's the first one, which is for consultants. And underneath of response semantics and properties, we're going to put the adaptive card, and that's going to be called a static template, which means that it's a static card. We're going to do the data binding, or Copilot will do the data binding, but you don't get to change the card at runtime. And I'll repeat that for all 5 of the responses. Each one has its own adaptive card depending on what it's returning, and that's realistic. You're going to want to think about what information do you want to display in response to each type of query. So now let's go ahead and run the solution. And if it was already running, you'd want to restart it at this point. And make sure that the manifest version is also updated so that Copilot will load all the new information. And now I'll run the regular prompt find consultants with TypeScript skills. And what we should get back is the same list of consultants as before, except down at the bottom, and this version of Copilot is giving us giant images. But anyway, here's the adaptive card as expected. So that's it. That's how you can bring adaptive cards into your declarative agent.
Yeah. So thank you, Bob. And thank you, Vesa. And back to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Paolo, for helping on that one. A good chat on the good discussion on the chat related. Who was actually talking? Is it Paolo? Is it Bob? Is it Bob? That was Bob in a video. Bob has retired a few weeks back, but he did give us a few videos because he had committed on doing this demo still, and Paolo is helping with that setup. But like it was mentioned, maybe Paolo, I haven't seen you and Bob at the same room at the same time. Maybe it is a same. Anyway, let's move into the next demo of the day. So we do have David and April here to talking about using and contributing the Power Platform snippets. And I can see a screen being shared. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Vesa. Yes, friends. So we are here to talk about Power Platform snippets. These are like Lego controls within the Power Platform ecosystem. So my name is David Warner, Principal Architect with Quisitive, and with me is the one and only
April Dunnam from Microsoft and the Power Platform Advocacy Team.
Yes, woo. And so we both do lots of videos. So if you want to, snap a pic of these QR codes and like and subscribe us on YouTube. We'd love to interact with everybody in the community. Now, let's talk about what our agenda is for today. Well, we're going to talk about what are snippets. We're going to review that just as a reminder for everybody so that if you're new to snippets, you know exactly what they are. We're going to talk a little bit about snippet sprawl. We're going to see how snippets and components have a love affair with one another that can really improve the overall experience. And then we'll round it out with some resources. Okay, so first of all, what are snippets? You can use them in Power Automate, Power Apps. You can use them in Copilot Studio. They are essentially little pieces of YAML. Well, what is YAML? It's a JSON-like structure where you can copy and paste code or controls or even screens, for that matter, between applications and between screens and between apps and all that kind of stuff. You can plug and play. You can move them around just like you can with Legos. They're super, super cool. And so first things first, how do you find some of these particular screen snippets and samples and all that stuff? Well, you can go to the Sample Solution Gallery, which is part of the greater adoption program here on Microsoft. And so if you come to this URL, which is available at aka.ms/community/samples, you've got all kinds of samples that are available. Now, we do have a dedicated one, but this allows you to also search across multiple technologies. And so you could start out by saying, I want to look for a snippet. And that's going to give you all kinds of stuff, right? Now, you could also come down and you can filter. If you're looking maybe for something specific like Copilot Studio or Power Apps or Power Automate, you're able to filter amongst all of these things. So we'll filter on Power Apps just for simplicity's sake. And so you can see now everything is related to Power Apps. So we've got some really, really cool snippets. So we're going to focus here on the donut snippet today. And if you wanted to use it, you just click on that. You'd see exactly who created it. You'd see a little example of it. And then you also have a nice big button that says View on GitHub. So this is where maybe it gets a little intimidating, but don't worry, we'll walk you through it. It's going to take you into GitHub and all of its GitHubiness that can be confusing. But you just come in. You're always going to have a README. It's going to tell you exactly how to use it. So we see this was actually just updated, and April's going to demo this by using it in a much more scalable way. And if you want to use them, you simply go into the source and you can go into the individual YAML file, and literally all you need to do is copy and paste. And that's the great thing about snippets. You're really just needing to copy and paste. And we'll see a full-on demo to this. So let's paint a picture. Let's tell a little story. Let's say that you've started creating some snippets, and here you are, you're happy, you're excited. You've started sharing the snippets with everybody at your company, and they're starting to use them, and they're starting to use them more. And guess what? Everything is awesome, right? Because snippets are awesome. And word gets around, and all of a sudden you get a phone call, and it's the boss man. I don't know why you're not smiling, boss man. Right? What's something wrong? Oh, there you go. Okay, great. Now we see the boss man smiling. What does the boss man have to say? Oh, awesome. You like the snippets yourself? You love the donut? I see you're eating a donut now. That's awesome. Really love it. Okay, that's very, very cool. So you're going to do what, Mr. Boss Man? Oh, awesome. You're going to start telling everybody else to use them as well. I'm super excited. That is fantastic. Thanks, boss man. All right. So then you start using them everywhere and you start thinking, well, that's great. But, maybe what happens if I have to update all these somewhere? What's going to happen? Well, now everything's kind of awesome, right? But now we're starting to see them everywhere. And then you get another phone call coming back from the boss man, right? And hi, super excited. Mr. Bossman, I love it that you're loving these donuts. I see you got a new donut there. What's that? You want us to update all these donut snippets with pink frosting and a bunch of sprinkles? Okay, when do you need that done by? This afternoon? Okay. Oh my goodness, everything is not awesome because now they're used everywhere and it's going to take forever to update them. They're super powerful, but you might deal with snippet sprawl. So if that happens, guess what? Components are awesome. And so now April's going to come in and she's going to show us a demo on how you can start using components and how even you can make them scalable using libraries.
Yeah, thank you, David. So that's a really classic example of what we're seeing there, right? So you want to start using all these snippets. We have this awesome snippet for an SVG donut, but if we start just pasting it everywhere and we want to use it in multiple places like the boss demanded, it's going to be a nightmare to update unless we use something called a component. So what is a component? Well, we can have something called component libraries. So I built this component library, which is really just a Power App where you build out these pieces of UI that you want to reuse in multiple places. So I have one here for a groups gallery, but I want to turn that SVG snippet into a component so that I have one place where I can update all of the information about the snippet, like what the coloring should be and all of that. And I can reuse it in multiple applications. And the next time that boss man calls and wants to update the color or whatever he wants to update in that particular SVG there that we have, I just update that in one place and reuse it across all of my apps. So how does this actually work? Well, first, in our component library, we need to add a new component. And then we're just going to go over to our snippet repo in this case, and this is really the most scalable and best way to use these snippets is this component approach that we're showing right here. So we'll copy all of this YAML that we have in the snippet, and we will just paste the code right here into our component, and voila, it looks beautiful right off the bat. Now, we can't just leave it like this, though. We want to make this reusable and user-friendly for our end users. So what we need to do with components is define what's called custom properties. So first, I'm going to rename this component so it's actually something useful. So we're going to call this our donut. And then we're going to define a few custom properties. So these are what is going to show up when we use this particular component. If we click on this properties drop down, we have a lot of default properties for items that we add inside of Power Apps. We have the text value that we can set, color values and all that. With components, you can define custom properties. So I'm going to add a new custom property. And we're just going to give it a name. So first thing that we need to be able to store if people want to use this donut is the value, right? So we're going to say donut value. For this particular property, we'll give it a description. This is the value the donut should be set to. And then we can have different property types. So this will be an input property because we're passing data into this component. And then we have the data type. So you can choose whether an input should be text, a number, even colors. And for this is a number value. So we're going to set that to a number, and then we're going to click create. All right, we're one down. Let's think through what else we need to really make this particular component work. We might want to also let people customize what is this color right here. So it's green by default in the snippet that we copied over, but maybe we want to be able to customize that. Okay, no problem. We'll add a new property here. We'll say used color. So this should be what's fill for the used value. And for this data type, we're going to make this a color that we're going to pass in. All right. Another down, just a few more to go. We'll add another one. Now we want to customize what should this color be in the donut for the unused portion, right? So we're going to say unused color for this property. So we'll say unused color value. And this will also be a color data type. All right, we're going to keep going here. What else do you think we might want to customize? Well, we have this percentage value in the middle. That's something else. If we're going to reuse this and scale it out, that we'll need to control. So let's add another custom property. We'll call this text value. And we're going to leave this as a text, and we'll click create. And okay, maybe the color of the text, because say we're using this in a dark mode application, right? We need to be able to change the color of that text maybe to white instead of black. So we'll create a property called text color. And this data type will be a color type as well. And then just a few more things, probably also the fill. So in here, it's white because our background is white, but we might want to customize the fill of that circle. So we'll call this center fill. And we'll make that a color as well. And then the other thing that you might have noticed when I first loaded this snippet is it had a little animation. It scrolled kind of over and showed how much was filled in the donut. So maybe you want to control how fast that animation goes. That could be really cool. So let's add one final property called animation duration. And this will be a number value. Okay, bam. We just created all of the properties that we need to make this a reconfigurable, reusable control. So how does this show up in our actual component? Well, now with the component selected, we can click on this dropdown, and here are all of the properties that we just defined. We have the unused color, we have the used color, and when we build these components, we can set some default values. So every time that I use this, if I want the used color to always be green, I can override some of these values. So I can say color.green for the used color. We can go into the unused color property. We'll say color.light gray, I think is what we want. Yep. And let's see, text color. We'll leave that as black. That looks good. Text value instead of text. Let's put in like a sample percentage. So maybe we want to default it to 50%. And then for, let's see, animation duration, let's do 1 second. That looks good. Center fill. Let's make that white. I like how that's looking in our sample there. And yeah, and then we just need the donut value. So instead of 100, let's make that 50 to match our text. And now we have all those properties. Now you're probably wondering, hey, you just changed all those properties, but the donut didn't update. Why is that? Well, we need to do some mapping. So the last thing that you'll have to do to make this configurable is click on your image in this case. So the snippet that we copied is just one image control with some SVG in it. So if we look at the image property of that image that we pasted from our snippet, we have a lot of stuff going on. So this is another reason why you might want to use a component versus just pasting snippets everywhere, because anyone using or maintaining an app would have to know all of this stuff going on in this particular SVG, right? That's a lot if you're not familiar with SVGs. If you make it a component, all they have to do is put in the component and fill out those properties, and they're good to go. So you just do this once, and everyone else using it is good. Now I try to make this snippet a little bit more user-friendly though, so you'll notice I'm using a with statement, and we have a bunch of properties that are then used later on in the SVG. So all we have to do is remove these hard-coded values. So for donut value, we're going to point that to the name of our component, which is donut. And if I do a dot, now I get all of those custom properties that we just defined. So I can say this should map to donut.donut value. Same thing for this text value. We're going to change that to donut.donut value, but then we're just going to add a little percentage symbol there. There we go. And then duration. So we're just going to go through and do all of this mapping. So this is the animation duration. Same thing for the circle middle. So we'll say donut.circle fill. And then we'll do donut.unused color for that. And donut.used color. And finally, for the text color, we'll say donut.text color. Now, you'll see some updates. So now we get our 50% in the middle, and we filled 50%. Everything is good to go. We just built a reusable component. Now all we have to do is save, and we'll publish this component library. And let's see how we actually use that inside an application. So there's a few different things that we could do for this. I want to show just how easy the reusability is. One, I have my Lego vault. And if we look in one of these items that we have here, like this Tweety Bird Lego set, I have a field here that shows the percentage complete. It's just a static text value. Wouldn't it be really nice if we had that snippet there, that component that we just built, instead of just a text value? Well, we can do that pretty easily. So I'm going to go over here. We will customize this card. We'll unlock it. And now we need to add in our component. How do we do that? We're going to click on the plus button on the left-hand side. We're going to select Get More Components. And there you go. We can do a nice little refresh. And there's our donut from our snippet component library. We'll import that in. All right, there we go. Now we have a library component section. There's our donut. We'll click on that. and we'll add that in. And there we go, a little bit big. So we'll just kind of shrink that down. Let's see, let's say maybe 200. And then the height, we'll make that 200 as well. Now we can kind of start seeing that a bit. And now we just have to fill in some of those properties there. And let's see, I think it got moved over into not where I want it. So let's just cut that and then we'll make it go, see, paste it in there, which is where we want that. And if that is acting up, it's okay because I have another place where we can put that in too. In there, come on, you can do it. All right, it's just the scrolling being a little pain in my form here. Like filtering, you know what? Change of plans, which is cool. We have another backup demo. This is even cooler though, because it's going to show the amount spent here. So we'll add the component back in here. So this is showing how we can use it in a totally different app, right? Maybe we don't want to use it in our Lego app. Maybe we want to use it in this expense tracking app. So we'll add that same donut control in here. And now let's see, let's drag it right here. There we go. That's looking pretty good. And let's see, what else can we do? So now we just need to configure it. So if we look at the component and we click on the properties dropdown, here are all of those things that are configurable. So the end user, they're not going to see any of that SVG-ness and get confused by that. All they have to do is change the properties. So if they don't want that color to be green, and maybe they want to change it to something else, we can make it be like blue color or maybe a dark blue, whatever that might be. And now that's configurable. And then the most important part is defining the value that you have there. So we'll change this. Let's go to the donut value and let's put that in there. And now it's going to dynamically get the spent value and the budget value that we have. And I can see a total spent that we have there with our donut chart and reuse this anywhere I want. If I want to make changes, I just go back into the snippet, push out the changes there to the properties, and it's going to show inside of any app that I'm using this in here. So that's a really great example of how you can make these reusable so that your boss is happy and you can reuse this in multiple places and get the maximum utilization out of these snippets.
All right. Yes. Thank you, April. So this is awesome, right? Because components are awesome. Now, what is awesomer? Component libraries are awesomer. Now, you saw a glimpse of that in April's demo, but we're going to be back here in a few weeks and we're going to show how you can take even more advantage of component libraries, kind of that end-to-end software development lifecycle. How does it work? How do you get them updated? What does that look like? And also, how can you take what you're creating and contribute it back into the community? We absolutely want you to share with everyone in the community what you're building and what you're creating. So here are some resources for you to take advantage of. We'll put them in the chat. We'll have them in the show notes for the video as well. Please go forth and prosper. Definitely create some really cool stuff. Reach out to either April, myself, or Daniel Laskowitz if you have any questions. Really great opportunity, low-hanging fruit here to contribute and get involved in the community. Vesa, back to you.
Excellent. Thank you, April. Thank you, David. It's really, really cool stuff. And okay, great demo storytelling as well. Good sound effects, as always, David. Great job on that. Now, the next demo is from Pooja and Mohan, and we're going to talk about extending dashboards and cards across SharePoint. So the same dashboard card web part, which we have in the Viva Connection, is now getting expanded across multiple other locations. And I think Pooja will be sharing some slides, and then we go to the live demo after that.
Sure.
Oh, Mohan is sharing slides. Anyway, so yes. We can hear, we can see, we're all good. Take it away.
Okay, thank you, Vesa. After all that energizing by David, I hope I can leverage the energy in the meeting environment, and all my attendees are pretty energized and attentive to look at the feature. I am sure I can't match David's energy, but I'm sure this feature will live up to everyone's expectations. Okay, talking about our feature, before that, I'd like to introduce myself. I am Pooja. I'm the PM on the Viva Connections platform team. I've been working on multiple platform features where I've released out-of-the-box cards, document library, sites, files, etc., whatever you see on the dashboard. And then we have also worked on some platform features like data visualization components, search, text box, etc. I have with me Mohan today, who is the person who's made the idea of my ideas into reality, and he will be taking us through the demo for Viva Connections dashboard. Okay, so moving on to the feature, as Vesa has already talked about the feature, it's about taking the value of Viva Connections dashboard and extending it beyond Viva Connections to any other site, communication site or team site. So we heard from all of you that the value of Viva Connections just constrained with the dashboard, which is limited to connections or home site. Now we will be taking this dashboard web part to other sites as well. And this will enable you to reuse your cards. And once the card is created, it can be hosted on multiple sites. Now, why do we want to do this? We have heard like there is one corporate site, which is the organization site, and they have their own dashboard. But within the teams also, there is a need for their individual dashboard. Suppose you have a HR team or you have your IT help desk. They also want to create their own dashboards. So with this feature, we want to enable individual teams within the organization to have their own dashboards. So now Mohan will show you how this can be done with the same what we had in the connections and can be leveraged on any site to create the dashboard. Over to you, Mohan. Thank you.
Mohan, we cannot hear you if you're talking.
No, you're on mute.
Thank you, Esa. So I was giving my best intro, but then I was on mute. I'm sorry. So, okay. Hi, folks. So my name is Mohan. I'm working on the Viva Connections platform team. I have been working on many platform features like text import, search, database, so on and so forth. And now it's dashboard on sites. Thanks, Pooja. So for today's demo, let's meet Alex, a fictional character. Alex Weber is responsible for the IT help desk of his company. He wants to make the homepage of his IT help desk, which is tech web in this case, very interactive. He wants to enable some action-oriented components in site pages, but he doesn't have the right tools. Just as he's wondering, he comes across this new feature in SharePoint, which is dashboard on sites. That is exactly what he needs. So what he does, he goes ahead to the settings gear in the SharePoint site nav, and he clicks on Manage Dashboard. Over here, he's able to create a new dashboard for this particular site. What can I do with this dashboard now? Since my site is related to is an IT help desk, let me see if I can add a remote assist card. That is very great. Now, there are a lot of events that are happening, which we are conducting. My team is conducting all around the company. So let me see if I can add an events card. Yes. Oh, this is already picking up all the events that are there. Oh, that's great. Next, a lot of people actually come to us with a lot of fundamental basic questions. So how do we address that? We have a playlist card. Let's see if we can use that. We have a stream playlist card, and he has already set up some DIY playlist, do it yourself, and voila, that's added to the dashboard. Next, the tech web or the IT help desk is struggling with a lot of tickets every month. So let's show our customers how much effort we are putting into them. He adds a monthly tickets card, which is a graph-based card, which can visually show what are the tickets inflow into IT help desk this month. Lastly, he also wants to add some documents for reference for anyone who is interested. So he adds a folder card. In the folder card, he selects the current site, and all the documents are already populated. Okay, now Alex publishes the dashboard, and the dashboard is published. Now, what should he do? Alex goes to the homepage. Alex sees, let me make this homepage much more interactive. Let me add a new section. Let me add our new dashboard web part. Wow. He looks at all of this. He looks at the settings. He sees 5 cards, probably 4 cards are sufficient. Let me just, no, 5 cards are good. Alex publishes the page. And voila, he has a dashboard on the tech website for his company. Now his boss is happy. Now, how does anyone use it? So whenever someone loads this page, they can click on any of the cards, which opens a quick view, and the user can click on any of these and access them. For example, you have a DIY playlist. Oh, all the videos are over there. All the documents are over here, and everyone is happy. Tomorrow, if Alex wants to change the cards or edit them, he can go back to the settings, go back to the manage dashboard, click on edit, and change the dashboard configuration. And that's all. So that's it from my side for the demo today. I hand it over back to Pooja.
So as you can see here, we are giving the flexibility of creating their own dashboards. The individual teams can have their custom dashboard as per their needs, what they work on day to day. It could be anything from events, folders, or any other thing which they need. It could be some of your custom links that we want to have it for the team, and those can be brought up here as part of this dashboard. Now with this, I would like to share what we are going to do next. We are going for a private preview of this feature soon, sometime in the first week of May, and by the end of May is when we are trying to GA it to all of you. We would love to hear from you if you like this feature or you want something else in this feature. We are waiting to hear from you. Please drop in your comments and this channel or share it with Vesa. We would love to hear.
Thank you, folks.
Over to you, Vesa. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Pooja. Thank you, Mohan. Really great job on this one as well. And it's a really exciting feature for sure, because it also means that whatever extensibility potential people have done within their cards, within the Viva connection, can be now actually exposed in any SharePoint site. So again, reusing the existing or growing the opportunities for existing investments, which is always good. So really, really cool. Thank you, Pooja and Mohan for that one as well. Now, quickly recapping where we are or what's happening next. I'm just trying to get to my slides. There we go. So next week, we do on 29th of April, we do have also 3 demos. We have Aisha talking about add authentication to your custom engine agents. Really, really cool and exciting capability. Ajit is going to talk about enhancing enterprise workflows with Microsoft 365 Agent SDK and Copilot Studio. Really, really cool demos coming up on that as well. And DC Padur is joining back and talking about the latest development on Microsoft Graph APIs for SharePoint pages. So there's a new capabilities on page templates and news link support, which is coming up on there as well. So that's on 29th of April, on a week from now. In the meanwhile, do take advantage of our other community calls. And if you are in a Discord and this is a familiar platform for you, you can also join our Discord server. We do have more than 2,800 members already in the server engaging within the community topic. So one of the options for engaging within a community. We're always also looking for feedback. Super interested about what you thought about the call, what are the demos, what can be changed. Positive feedback is good. Constructive feedback is also good. All of this is super important for us to be able to keep on doing these calls also in the future. So if you have a few minutes, fill in the form. It's a relatively short form and super valuable for us as well. The recording will be available within 24 hours at the Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel. You want to subscribe on that one so you will stay up to date on all of the great videos which are getting published. We do publish at least one video there every single day. Typically, it's actually at least 2 videos every single day on that YouTube channel. So really optimizing towards you, the information sharing, rather than optimizing for YouTube algorithms. We do publish a bit more than it's recommended, but we actually have a lot of content. So we actually want to make sure that you're up to date. Then there's options to stay up to date also on social media in LinkedIn, Blue Sky, and Twitter or /X. Next call is on April 29th, as mentioned, and you can download all of the community call invites from AKMS community calls. But that's it for today. Thank you one more time for Paolo, Bob, April, David, Pooja, and Mohan for the great presentation and great demos of today. And thanks to everybody for joining. Let's stay in touch. That's it. Cheers. Bye-bye.